Let's talk about the new F150 Rattler. We're going to be talking about not just what the model contains, but we're going to do some very good speculation, educated guess on pricing based on, some known factors. And also, of course, I have a long history with Ford, so I do suspect to get the pricing extremely close to what you should expect out of the Rattler, because it's not officially out and it won't be officially out for pricing until we can start, building online our 2023. So we're talking about fall and maybe even very early winter 2022, so this year. Now let's just put the pedal to the metal, jump right in. I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, and I'm here to help because I don't want people waiting for the Rattler thinking it's going to be the price of, let's say, a standard XL. So let's cover first what the model contains, and then let's talk about pricing. Now in part 2 of this video, so right at the end of this video, you can just go right ahead. I'd love it if you went right ahead and watched what this means for other Ford models, what it means for the microchip shortage. So we'll be having a whole discussion on, does this help the microchip shortage? Does it make the microchip shortage for Ford even worse? What's going on? Are they doing this to get people to spend more, spend less? And what it means for other models will be covered. But first, let's just have a quick, what I'd say is, at this point of the year, an actual deep dive into the Rattler. So let's not just cover this lightly. Let's take this very seriously. Pedal to the metal, jumping right in. What is the Rattler? Now, the Rattler is being compared as an F-150 XL, but with sort of an upgraded FX4 package. To understand pricing, I'd say it's a whole lot more like a Tremor Light or a beefed up STX, because I do expect this to be more expensive than an STX, and we're going to find out why right now. So what's going on? The F-150 Rattler is going to share some components with the current FX4 package. For example, it's going to have skid plates. It's going to have the hill descent control button, which helps you maintain your speed when you're going down hills. So that's really a good safety feature if you're doing sand dunes, if you're in the forest. Fantastic. Now, what else is it going to have? Of course, it's going to force four-wheel drive. It's going to have off-road shocks. So that's cool. I think the off-road shocks are going to be similar to Tremor. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about how this is much more of what I would call a Tremor Light or a Raptor Extra Light, because I find the Tremor actually is a Raptor Light, and I find it's an incredible value for what you pay for a Tremor. It's an incredible value, and it's a fantastic Raptor option. Even when things go back to normal, Raptors have just traditionally always sold for over MSRP, and we'll see what happens in the future when I do suspect in either probably 2023 or maybe 2024 as Ford divides EVs takes it away from certain dealers, because you're gonna have to jump on board. And of course, this is gonna require dealers that do jump on board to assist in the process of delivering a client an EV. I highly suspect it's gonna come with the absolute requirement of selling at MSRP. Well, guess what? Raptors, I think SVT will no longer be a standalone brand. I highly suspect and have a little bit of information that Raptors should be, an F-150 Raptor, should be something that can be sold by all Ford dealers. But that's in the future. Let's just finish talking about this fantastic Rattler edition. It's going to come with those 18-inch wheels, so signature look. It's going to come with dual exhaust tips like the Tremor, so that's really cool. Some people have been wanting Ford to do this for a very long time and have spent, a couple $1,000s modifying their exhaust systems. Other people will say it looks like wheelbarrow handles and will never jump on board, but we'll just have to wait and see. And speaking of not jumping on board, this isn't a surefire way to get the shifter in between the two seats. That's reserved for a sport model. And sport model means you're getting at least a 301, and most of them are 302s. But you're also talking about unique styling touches on the inside as well. So bronze stitching. So that's really cool. The Tremor comes with its own colored stitching. This will have bronze stitching. Now, it doesn't show in the photo, but I am really hoping that there'll be a rattlesnake emblem on the seats. That would really kick it up a notch. But right now what is confirmed is, a unique interior shifter on the column. You're gonna have your this is gonna be the new sync system with the 8-inch touchscreen, so that works really, really well. And some bronze accents inside the cabin. So you will be able to get a console in between the two seats. This might even not be offered as a 6-seater. This might be a 5-seater only, but we will just need to wait and find that out. Now, we're also going to need to wait and find out what are officially all the engine choices, but if this is like an FX4, I do suspect that you'll have the option of the 5-liter, the 3.5-liter EcoBoost twin turbo, as well as the 2.7-liter EcoBoost. So that would be great. Now, that does bring us to talking about pricing. What do I expect out of pricing? Well, we've got a lot of known variables. What does an STX require and what kind of pricing? Because STX is more of it's kind of like a sport light, whereas, and it does refuse you certain options. You can't have an STX with a shifter in between the two seats, and you can't have heated seats. There's a lot of little things that, do end up causing people to jump up to a 301 XLT Sport or a 302 Sport. But an STX truly is what I like to call a sport light. Now, this as a tremor light, this Rattler, it is going to require I highly suspect it's going to require some minimum conditions, just like an STX is going to require the high package. And actually, before getting into that, let's just point out, this will not be offered as a regular cab. We should have this as a super cab because you can have an STX as a super cab, but as a super cab, it's also going to require 4x4. So what does 4x4 cost if you're just looking at a straight XL? Well, 4x4 adds $3,430 to the price of your XL F150. And then the high package, that's for, cruise control, and a few other little things. So the high package is running at $2,208. Now let's go see what exactly the high package currently offers. So the XL 101 high package, what it offers is, the power equipment group, so cruise control and reverse sensing system. Now, depending where you are on building your XL, you'll either see it as a $2,208 option or a $920 option or a $1,200 option. It all depends what you've picked on your F-150 so far, because you need to have 4x4 and you need to either have a super cab or you need to have a super crew. But what the engine options are and what kind of power we can expect, at $1,195, you're adding the 2.7-liter engine. And that's the thing, if you're currently looking at a 3.3-liter XL, that's when you have the $2,208 for the high package, because going to STX does require, on the Rattler, you're going to be dropping the 3.3-liter, and there's a price jump to get into a 2.7-liter. But I have the 2.7-liter in my Bronco, and I absolutely love that engine. It's essentially no lag, and you've got direct injection with port injection. So Ford is paying to have twice as many injectors because each cylinder needs to have 2 injectors, one in the cylinder. So that's the direct injection that's going to be pumping in at about 3,000 pounds of pressure. It's going to be squirting in the fuel, and that has a very high burn rate. That burns up almost all the fuel that gets put into the cylinder. It's high pressure, it's very good, but as a standalone, it's a bit dirty. And that's why for the longevity of the engine, Ford a while back, once they hit Gen 2 on all these engines, Gen 2 or Gen 3, they added port injection, which is another set of injectors, and that is by the air intake port. Now, why do they not have just port injection? Well, because port injection is not very efficient. It burns more around 60 to 70, 75% of the fuel. So there's a lot of fuel loss. It's not an efficient system. and you do get a good amount of power and fuel efficiency out of direct injection. Together, ideal system, twice as many injectors, but it shows that Ford wants longevity on these engines as well as fuel efficiency and power. Now, enough about that, because we've got the same technology continuing on with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost. So there, if you're looking for 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, and of course, the torque on the twin turbo engines at Ford are offered at very low RPM, usually around 3,000 RPM, you get 100% of your torque. So fantastic response time, really makes these engines feel a lot more powerful than their already very high power figures. So 2.7 liter, 325 horsepower, or 400 pound-feet of torque. You kick it up a notch to the 3.5 liter EcoBoost. That is a wild motor. It's not that long ago that to get that kind of power, you're looking at a Raptor. And now you can get it off the 3.5 liter EcoBoost, which will be available for the Rattler, or you can spend, and the EcoBoost is the most expensive option at $2,595, or you've got the V8 at $1,995, giving you 400 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. More around a little over 4,000 RPM, you get your peak torque. But that V8 is an incredible V8. It is a masterpiece of technology because not only does it have port injection, it also has direct injection. So very good for power, but also really good for fuel efficiency and power. Normally it's one or the other. Well, what's going on there, the reason it can have both is because the engine technology is fantastic with twin independent variable cam timing. So that's twin independent variable cam timing. Simply put, how to imagine it is it's kind of like being able to choose between camshafts that are race, so two camshafts at the top of each V. It's as if you could just pull them out, just a small 10-hour job, put in race camshafts, but then when you go easy on the engine, it's like pulling them out again and putting not aggressive camshafts, but instead very low aggressivity camshafts made for high fuel economy. Because essentially the positioning, when they change the positioning on these camshafts, they're changing all the specs of the engine. So I love that technology, absolutely loved it in the V8s that I had. It's also, there's a lot of reasons why I really love the 5 liter V8 from Ford 2018 and more recent. But let's now just finish up this whole talk about price. Basically how it works is if you're looking at a super cab, you're right now STX, it forces all those packages, 4x4, high package, and you'd currently be looking at a super cab playing around $42,255, and I do suspect that adding the Rattler package as a Tremor Light, Tremor adds $6,000 to a 302 XLT, well, I expect this to be at about $2,500 to $3,000. Minimum condition, a $2,000 add-on, because it's still a value proposition at that point because of the tires and the exhaust system. And when you add in the fact that the inside of the vehicle is, spec'd up, you could say, I am suspecting more on the $3,000 range than the $2,000 range. Already, people often spend $2,000 turning their F-150 into a dual exhaust. For the crew, this means you're adding $4,930. So what's the overall cost of a crew 4x4 Rattler? I highly suspect, let's say you're looking at a crew STX right now, that's $44,600 plus $2,000 to $3,000 for adding Rattler. Because this will be seen as a step up from the STX. I highly suspect, all my experience at Ford and all my coverage at Ford, and really following Ford for many years now, I expect the Rattler to come in more around $47,600 if you take it crew, and I suspect that if you're taking it super cab, right now an STX, as mentioned, is $42,255. Well, I'd expect with adding $3,000, it's going to be more like $45,255. So there we have it, folks. That's all the in-depth information that I can currently provide for the Rattler. What can we expect per month? Well, I'd suspect that an 84-month purchase on a Rattler Super Crew is going to be around $650. And the 48-month lease is going to play somewhere around the $700 mark. And I'm basing this, of course, all on an STX plus the added equipment. And yes, for the lease, I didn't just straight up add, 3,000 divided by 48 months, because normally these trucks have a residual playing right around 50%. So I took $1,500 divided by 48 months, giving you about $700 per month, and actually $700 per month spot on. But I did not calculate the tax because, well, some places you pay no tax and other places you pay a whole lot of tax. So that's it, folks. If you've enjoyed this information, if you found it useful, and I hope you have, because this is probably at the moment the most in-depth talk about the Rattler you will find on the internet at the moment of publishing, which is the 1st of April. Please do like and subscribe. It helps feed and dress that poodle, but it also helps feed a French Canadian. And you'll find out in just a moment, but stay tuned, because now we're going to be doing a full in-depth talk about what this really means for other Ford models, what this means for the microchip supply issue. Is this going to make it worse? Is it going to make it better? All that's going to be covered coming right up. So just hit next, watch the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Hey honey, what are you eating again?
Ice cream, peaches and strawberries.
You like your ice cream, don't you?